Twin Bill, where you can get your fill of hosts Jason and Marcus talking about movies and stuff. You know you never can get enough. A twin is two people who are related. Twin Bill. This season is Razzie Mania. Hello and welcome to Twin Bill, brought to you by delicious, dirty Mountain Dew. It's like Mountain Dew with cream soda in it, and it is the most addictive thing in the world.
Do you like your dirty Mountain Dew? Do ya?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like dirty Mountain Dew, Clint Eastwood. I don't think I will marry you. It's my brilliant Thunderlog impression.
Well, I don't like you, but I really need an assistant for this stupid Wild
I don't
West
like
shooting
you. I
show.
don't like you, but I'll fuck you. That's for sure. Anyway, let's just go through the whole plot before we start. All right, welcome to Twin Bill, the movie podcast. I'm with my co-host and twin brother, Marcus Luna. How you doing today, Marcus?
Just, I think I'm finally on the last legs of this cold, so I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
How are
Uh,
you?
I'm fine. I guess don't talk too much in the podcast about my exhaustive search for employment, but I'm searching, so find something soon enough. And then you watch anything this week?
God, I
Oh,
gotta make myself watch two movies every week because I keep saying no on this, but it is what it is. I'll try to do better next week. I do have Memorial Day weekend, so maybe that will help. But no, I didn't get around to another viewing or sports count because I actually went to the Padres Dodger game last night.
very good. And the Dodgers
Um,
won that game. Yes.
it was fun
Uh,
regardless, but that definitely helped. Yes.
yeah. Always good to see games in person. Something that's not good to see. Another Tubi classic. It's called Deep in the Valley. It is about two guys who accidentally dimensionally travel into a pornography film, and it's neither sexy nor funny. It's oddly star-studded cast. Got a early Chris Pratt role. Tracy Morgan is a character inside the porno. Christopher, what's his name? The Happy Gilmore guys and stuff.
Christopher?
Yeah, he's a character actor. I ate little shits like you for breakfast.
Oh, the guy who played Scooter McGavin?
Yeah, he's
I,
the
I
he's
should know
the
his actor name, but I don't know that.
he's the superpowered god of porno land or whatever. This movie's just gross and unfunny, and I don't know. I guess it's called Deep in the Valley because the valley's porn, but I didn't think of that until now. So, good job, movie. Don't recommend. It's shocking. I know. All right. Let's talk about a quote unquote slightly better movie. I'm actually not sure. The Outlaw. I had my notes Outlaw Josie Wales. I almost said that. Probably would rather watch that movie, but no. It's T-shirts too tight. Bronco Billy. Uh, so let's talk about that movie. Okay. Yes, this movie is directed by Clint Eastwood. So I have two thoughts about this movie and Clint Eastwood's directing. Number one, I don't know if you agree with this or not. Clint Eastwood didn't have a really big, memorable hit after this movie until 1992, 12 years later, with Unforgiven. There was nothing on there that was like classic Clint Eastwood movie. Those things like Bird or Heartbreak Ridge, both of which are not like the upper echelon. It's just kind of weird how his career kind of peaked more in the 90s. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I want to tell you like an underrated classic at that time. I just haven't seen a lot of them. Uh, Pale Rider was a well-reviewed film. That's more minor than much more minor than Unforgiven, which won all the Oscars, or not all of them, but a lot, the big
Yeah,
ones at least.
he had more stuff as an actor, I guess, but well, we'll get to that a little later, I think. And then Another weird thing about Clint Eastwood's very specific and ties directly to this movie is that this period in the late 70s, early 80s is the only time Clint Eastwood was like, you know what I want to do? Hilarious comedies. Because he did which we'll mention which I'll mention a lot during this movie because I've seen both of them and I like them. The annoyingly named orangutan comedy movies, Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can. Like, why are they so long, the titles? But and then that's it. He's like, I'm never gonna be funny ever again. I guess acting in Troll with the Curve, maybe. That's about it. It's
There's a curmudgeon in that though. The bits I've seen of that.
not funny. It's not. It's not that funny.
I don't know. I
Light.
have to watch more Clint Eastwood interviews, and I don't really want to watch more Clint Eastwood interviews, but he's actually fine enough. Whatever. But I think he had little kids at this around this time, so maybe he wanted to try more family films.
And he was also romance. We'll get into romancing Sandra Locke, so maybe there was a connection of lightening his fare for her. This movie was written by the villain of this movie, you know, in an artistic way. I want to keep calling him Dennis B. Hacken because it's such a perfect nickname for a screenwriter. Dennis Hacken, who actually wrote the Bronco Billy novel. I'm sure you can run out to the book dealer and get your copy of Bronco Billy by Dennis Hacken.
Oh, I read it in high school. Wasn't required reading in your English classes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Every thesis in high school was Bronco Billy. And then Dennis Hacken's career, of course, is pretty bad. As mentioned in our Blue Lagoon episode about Brooke Shields' hypersexualization as a like pre-teenager almost. He wrote the Brooke Shields vehicle Wanda Nevada, in which teenage Brooke Shields is won in a poker game. Because you got to do it for the family films.
Stars Peter Fonda though, so it's full
Directed by
of
Peter Fonda, so you know it's great and not meandering crap. Maybe he's a great director and he just didn't direct that much. But and then the real legend of Dennis Hacken was 9 years after this movie came out. I wish I knew the lyrics because I'd sing the whole song, but no holds barred.
Does
No
it have a theme
holds
song? It has a
barred.
theme song like that?
Yes, the beginning of the movie, they play a theme song. We laughed at it when we watched it together.
Well, obviously, yeah. It's not a film you want to watch a second time.
Uh, no Holds Barred, to people who don't know, is the movie where Hulk Hogan inadvertently causes the death of Kurt Fuller. That's pretty much the plot.
Who's Kurt Fuller?
Kurt Fuller is the bad guy in No Holds Barred. He's a bald guy. He's in a bunch of kids' movies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I guess Kurt Fuller technically kills himself, but it is based on Hulk Hogan's domination in the ring or whatever.
I guess that guy who played the good spirit of the island on Lost,
Well, that's right.
handicapped.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rip him. Yep. And then it was more crimes against women. He made Joan Severance pretend to be in love with Hulk Hogan. So yeah. Comparing it to this movie and Sandra Locke. But yeah. Okay, whatever. Cut that. Uh this movie has interesting producer credits. Uh Dennis Hacken got a producer credit too because he did such a good job on the novel and screenplay. Uh
Maybe he had money. I don't know. Although he didn't, for money, he didn't have a long film career. But
maybe yeah, some people with money who do film just stop doing film because it's annoying and costs more money, but you never know. But he actually did produce a number of movies. The funniest one is a 2000 film called South of Heaven, West of Hell, where Billy Bob Thornton plays a U.S. Marshal who's tracking outlaws, but also maybe Billy Bob Thornton's a ghost.
that's where he did that, and then now he's played more straight-laced versions of that. Well, I guess now he's more famous for playing an oil man on a show I don't watch.
Or a landowner or something like that. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, he played. I have friends and people who watch that show, and he's an oil man. Works for oil companies.
I'm an oil man. Watch Landman. That's my talks. This movie's produced by Neil Neil Dobrowski. And you know it's a good sign when Wikipedia misspells his name because Dabrowski's fine, but it's Neal and Wikipedia says it's Neil, which is just wrong. So clearly there's a lot of
Yeah.
thought put into the Wikipedia page.
Well, and he's really gotten into Hallmark movies.
I was gonna say he has a lot of ones that are good. My favorite is just the title is so weird. It's called The Housewives of the North Pole. So you're like, oh, okay, Mrs. Claus, but no, it's set in America. It's just two wives competing in a decorate your house competition. Sounds boring.
So so he's a producing partner with Dennis Hackett at the time because they both did one in Nevada.
Sometimes there's not a like a formal partnership and stuff like that, but probably I don't know. I don't
So
know.
that you may be right about partnership because it stopped after this.
Bronco Billy did so well. They're both like,
It made money. Spoiler for if we're going to talk about the
although
box.
in the Wikipedia thing, Clint Eastwood said he didn't think it made enough money based on the effort put in. But yeah, never enough money. And then okay, let's talk about the worst part of the movie aside from the screenplay. Okay, there's a lot of bad things. I'm gonna stop doing that. But the music, all the songs are written by one guy, which I found incredible. Like one song wasn't enough. He wrote like four songs for this movie, or that, or yeah, he had four songs in his catalog. But his name is Snuff Garrett,
They like to kill people in hotels.
or he like to snort tobacco out of a box or something. I don't know what stuff actually is, but I guess it's just old timey cocaine or something.
uh, even the Wikipedia doesn't say what they're called snuff, or they're given why they don't have their nicknames because
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of doozies in the song. Of course, there's the very slow I don't remember the tune, but it's like there's songs about cowboys and not about clowns.
no, it's about both. The lyrics say like people like cowboys, like kids like clowns. What type of kids does he have? They don't have kids do not like clowns. Maybe
kids
some of
like
them do, but
Kids used to like clowns more before that Stephen King ruined it for everyone. But anyway, yeah, I have a couple notes about the music in this movie just because, well, it's so funny because there's that song Barroom Buddies, and they really tried to act like Barroom Buddies was a thing. Because there's early in the song, Sandra Locke's like, I don't want to sing Barroom Buddies. Like everyone knew what that was. And then she sings it at the end when, spoiler alert, she tries to kill herself. It was like they wanted to act like Barroom Buddies was this extant hit from the 70s or something.
apparently there was a what is snuff the substance? Is it just powdered smokeless tobacco?
Oh, okay.
So it's
Smokeless
like
chewing tobacco.
yeah, two primary forms: dry snuff, which is typically inhale or sniff, and moist snuff, which is the baseball player one, where you put it between your mouth and the lip and the gum.
So you can't snort it. I had no idea. Well, you learn something every day. Totally useful. I'm gonna get some stuff after this recording. So
He worked.
there's
Oh,
okay. I want to talk
way
about
too much
stuff.
time with snuff, Garrett. But let me finish it.
Yeah.
It's a brand of snuff called Garrett's Snuff.
So is his name Snuff or Garrett then?
Garrett is his last name.
So everyone's talking about that Snuff named after me. So I'm gonna call myself Snuff Garrett.
Well, he's in Texas for the music business, so yes, I'm sure there's actual snuff going around. And then some comedian was like, "Oh, I can't. I'm addicted to snuff. Hey, your name's Garrett, just like Garrett Snuff. So Snuff Garrett."
Yep. So Snuff Garrett actually does have a composing career. He didn't compose for this movie. He just licensed. Well, maybe he did. I don't know. He also licensed a bunch of songs, obviously. But anyway, um, he composed three TV movies starring Burt Reynolds as an action hero called Hard Time, and then it's two sequels. And the weirdest probably the weirdest credit in the history of this podcast, before or after. He scored a movie called The Day the Clown Cried, where Jerry Lewis plays a clown at a Holocaust camp, or whatever you call that, concentration camp. Though he's so controversial that Jerry Lewis never allowed it to be released publicly.
So I thought that was a lot. So it did never got released.
So it's one of those things where no one's ever seen the whole thing. Jerry Lewis claims it's complete and it's sitting in a vault. I don't know what happened after he died with the rights and stuff, but I saw very small clips online. It was actually fairly well made. It's a lot more artistic than a usual Jerry Lewis film. Obviously, the topic is bizarre, but yeah. So let's a little better than Nazis. Let's talk about the cast of the movie. All
A
right,
little better than Nazis.
a little bit of Nazis, a little bit. Uh, so we'll talk about the supporting characters in the character slot. Let's just talk about the two leads here. So that's the way Wikipedia did it. We have Clint Eastwood as Bronco Billy McCoy, the proprietor of an Old West show. Yeah, these came out at the same time as, actually the same year, I think, as the first, I can't remember if it was first or second of the orangutan movies. So there you
This
go.
is comedy phase. But Bronco Billy as a character has the same intensity as Dirty Harry,
Yeah,
A Man with No Name in the
I
Leone
mean,
trilogy.
better movies use the same formula to make it work. Like Frank Drebin is not a funny character per
Well,
se,
even that's obviously a pastiche because it's a very satirical parody
right?
movie. But
That movie had jokes in it and like setups and punchlines and stuff, but yeah. Not just people punching each other in a bar. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, those movies are all the
weird you play the same way, but you don't kill people this time. Or I don't know.
yeah, pretty much. It's like he's just angry and it's depressing as opposed to exciting. That's pretty much what it is. Although there is stuff like the bank robbery and stuff, but that doesn't really go anywhere.
Train robbery, but
Yeah, that's what I meant. Because they don't even know if there's money on the train, which Sandra Luck helpfully pointed out.
it's a funny train robbery.
Because it just happens. That's about it. Yeah. So I wrote my notes. Instead of a monkey, Bronco Billy just thought a Wild West show would make comedy gold for a movie. It's pretty much the same idea. And then we have Sandra Locke as Antoinette Lilly, the heiress turned Bronco Billy show cast member. Talk a little about the true story of Sandra Locke. This is her story only, because Clint Eastwood doesn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, but she says they were dating and he was setting things up for her to have a career, and then they broke up, and Clint Eastwood called the studio and got her blacklisted, and she couldn't work in Hollywood again. And basically didn't.
So she's in this relationship with Clint Eastwood, and it's the first time I've ever heard of this. Like, her husband's okay with it this whole time, or doesn't know about it.
Yeah, it was one of those things where they're both broke, and she told her husband, "Oh, I'm gonna have this meeting with Clint Eastwood to help me make movies and stuff." And they started fucking pretty close after that, but she didn't didn't tell the husband right away or something, and then they broke up eventually. And nasty Hollywood stuff. Yeah.
So like, oh, she's a partner with Clint Eastwood for this length of time, and then I see her spouse column on Wikipedia, and then even click on it, and then it says he was happily married to Sandra like for until her death or something like that.
Oh, so maybe they never broke up then. I don't. I always thought that she broke up with the husband, but I don't know. That's weird.
They were married for 51 years, and when she died, he was the widower, so they never divorced. Maybe they separated when she was partnered up with Clint Eastwood, but
It's just like John Lennon and May Pang. Exactly. Although yeah, that's actually pretty similar. Johnny Yoko didn't get divorced. John Lennon slept with another woman for a year and then went back to Yoko Ono. Yeah. Where was I going with this? Oh, so yes, back to Sandra Locke. So Sandra, okay. It's just funny because Sandra Lock directed this movie in 1986. That's really weird. She starred in it too, but this there's this rat-faced homeless guy that gets discovered in New York, and everyone tries to exploit him. But the funny thing is the title, because it's technically the Bart Simpson story. It's called Rat Boy. Marge, my queen. Lisa, my princess. And who could forget Rat Boy? Bart, stop chewing on the walls. Are you excited to watch Rat Boy after you finish reading Bronco Billy?
Yeah, doing both at the same time would be my greatest day of my life.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about the break down the movie concept, which is basically the ad campaign. Uh so it's a unique case with a lot of things in this movie in this regard, but the title in particular, because sure, Bronco Billy is a horribly generic title. It's like, what Western am I watching again? But also, I want to talk about it more later. But this movie is a direct knockoff of Robert Altman's 1976 film Buffalo Bill and the Indians, and the title just sort of speaks to that almost directly as plagiarism. Maybe he wrote the book before the movie came out, but it's still the Buffalo Bill legend or whatever. But yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, such a broad genre. It's hard to prove plagiarism.
I mean, legally, it's impossible. You can't trademark an idea of a Wild West show or whatever. But, yeah,
I mean, we it was for our grandparents' 40th wedding anniversary when we were kids. We went to a Wild West review show. No one famous in it. Remember that?
kinda. That was the one where there was like a comedian at the end who was actually funny or something. Stand-up
And we
comedian.
actually made fun of our grandfather a lot.
Yeah, because Papa was making noises.
Well, he said, "Where do you what?" He set him up beautifully because he had crowd working. He said, What did you do for a living before you retired?" And he said, "I worked in gas." And then he made fart jokes or something
Yeah.
classy.
So anyway, yeah, dumb title, too generic for me. Uh, the
It's
poster, which is
okay.
kind of what? It's
It's
okay, I guess.
okay.
Okay, but it's generic. Okay,
There's been great films where the title's been the main character of the movie.
yeah, I guess I kind of butt up against the sounds like a western, but like it's fine. I guess it's fine. It's fine. Behind me is the poster, which you can't see. Uh, it's got some craftsmanship. It's like hand drawn or painted or whatever. I don't like the little. You can't see them, but the little versions of the entire cast in front of the tent. It's kind of unnerving. Like little versions of generic actors just standing in front of a tent.
This is 1980, but it feels like a 70s thing.
Well, it's obviously going for an Americana thing. Who's that guy? Saturday. Well, it's not the Saturday Evening Post guy,
Rock Rockwell
but yeah,
or
well, just
no,
like those landscapes, like Turner and I'm not an expert on this, but you know what I mean. The like 19th century looking posters of the West.
is Rockwell the name of the painter? And the someone's watching you guy.
Yeah, Norman Rockwell and just Rockwell. Yes,
They're like, oh, the names are a little different probably, but no, it's just
he was gonna call himself his rap name J.W. Turner, and then he gave up on it. It's not even funny.
I was gonna go for a better joke. He was gonna call himself Van Gogh, but then he had 2 years and realized he couldn't do it. Hey,
his career
yo.
Van Gogh after one song because he can't sing. Posters generic and looks lame and it's fine. It's fine. The tagline, it's not insane, but it is stupid. The most outrageous of them all. This movie? What? That there's a Wild West show, or that the economy is bad and the Wild West show is doing badly? Is that outrageous? Or he falls in love with a rich girl? Is that outrageous? There's nothing outrageous about this movie.
So on the heels of two chimpanzee movies, so he was feeling pretty outrageous on himself.
Could call
Everything
it
I do is outrageous now.
could call it nutrageous and got some money from the Reese's people. Am I right?
Yes, because I made a good amount of money
Okay.
using outrageous in my life.
Yeah. Dirty Mountain Dew. So the trailer, it makes sense. It is a little misleading because they just stitched together everything that could possibly be exciting in the movie, like uh the train robbery and every possible shot of the Wild West show they do like three times in the movie, and the bar fight. And it's just like the movie's not like that. The movie's a lot of like conversation and waiting around. And the movie went I enjoyed it, but the trailer went a step further with like wacky sound effects. And my favorite shot in this movie that I'm not sure it was in the movie, I think it was edited. There's a horse, and the horse looks sideways and its eyes go big. Like the horse is like, what's going on around here?
I mean, yeah, it's hard to remember. You have to watch it again and like pause on every shot and be like, is this the one where the horse looks sideways? Because
I don't think I got bug eyes though in the
horse is
movie.
critical to Clint Eastwood's act. So I mean, see his act like 5+ times in this movie. So a lot of horse scenes.
But they should have had a scene where he's like combing the horse or talking to it, like really establish that it's a character in the movie. They didn't really do that. But anyway,
Well, there is a scene where Scatman Crothers gives him whiskey.
yeah. And that I was gonna say that's another positive for the trailer is that Scatman Crothers recorded extra dialogue or they piped it in or whatever of him piping up the Wild West show and pitching the movie. And that was kind of
Not
fun.
outrageous like his Hong Kong Fooey character. So you got to use that voice.
No, yeah. He's one of the better actors in this movie, especially for a comedy. Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, his acting's not that great, but whatever.
When we get to the characters, it's those unfunny lot of comedy characters in the history of mankind. So much vanilla white people talking normally. Speaking of white people, well, we're not white people. We're mixed. But anyway, time for a trivia break. Okay, this is very straightforward. Questions are either about the Denver Broncos or people named Billy. So there you go. First question. In 1988, the Broncos were crushed in Super Bowl 22 by the Washington Redskins. What Redskin won Super Bowl MVP?
How long have you been a black quarterback? A little
All
bit.
my
But apparently,
life.
there were disputes he asked him that. It was Doug Williams.
Yes. And in what Billy Shakespeare, as he likes to be called, play, what Billy Shakespeare play is about a titular wealthy Greek citizen who eventually gives up on human society and moves into the woods.
Well, is it the one that has Athens in the title? So it's Timon
Say the full thing.
of Athens.
Yes. The Moans of New Brunswick, New Jersey. Right, yes. Correct. We can start talking about the characters a little bit.
Hold on, with Timon of Athens, you picture a meerkat in the title role, right? I mean, I do.
Yeah. Shakespeare is not like Hakuna Matata in his plays. So, yes. Yeah. Let's start thinking about Pumbaa. There's no Pumbaa pun with Shakespeare. Okay,
Yeah, it should have been Timon and Lear or Timon and Two Gentlemen of Verona. I don't know.
all the world's a grub. We're merely eating grubs. Thank you. Uh, let's talk about the characters. Really quickly. My only note on Eastwood's character is I thought it was not. It was lame, but not. The idea wasn't lame. The execution was lame because they say, "Oh, Bronco Billy is secretly from New Jersey, and he sold shoes till he was 31." And I felt like that was very show not tell screenwriter dialogue to try to justify why he hates the East Coast so much. They could have acted that out a little bit or shown that.
Do you want flashbacks?
Or yeah, or just if he went home to New Jersey or something as Clint Eastwood now, I don't know, something something. I don't know. A character from home visited him. There's ways to do it.
No, I don't know if the book. Maybe the book goes more into this. More reason to read it, but uh, I feel like the movie makes sure that Bronco Billy has no weakness.
Which is a terrible character for your movie's protagonist or co-protagonist or
Especially
whatever.
since 1980, and he just drops insults on Sandra Locke repeatedly, especially in the first half of the movie.
Yeah, bosses her around, refuses to move a short distance of geography to live with her. And then my only note on Sandra Locke's character Antoinette Lily is it was a little ham-handed at the beginning of the movie and most of the movie, honestly. Very prissy dialogue. I don't know what they tried to give her some range later on. I guess she did. I don't know. It's fine.
Sure, even 1980, it got pretty tired. This whole trope of big city woman is lost in middle America or the Wild West
Yeah,
or whatever.
it's actually kind of like a Hallmark movie. If she just visited her parents and Bronco Billy lived there, that would be pretty much be a Hallmark movie.
If a Hallmark movie, you probably have should be at least a half orphan and one of her parents was dead. Actually, that was true. That was true. Both her parents are dead.
Yeah, well, they would have cut out. They would have cut out or mitigated the subplot of the mother wanting her dead so she could inherit the fortune or whatever. But
Stepmother.
stepmother, yeah, they would have made her mom, and they would have been relatively fine relationship wise.
She loved her daddy.
Yep. So, yeah, one more time. So the most of the characters in this movie are members of Bronco Billy's show, and in general, the show people seem like if this is a comedy, which it felt at times like it was just a atmospheric drama.
No, it gets pretty heavy. The whole thing about they're all criminals. Um, Sam Bottoms is a rope guy. Lasso guy is a deserter. It's
Yeah,
not a
well,
lot of room for comedy in their backgrounds.
yeah, I mean, well, I mean, yeah, that this movie wants to have it both ways. It wants to be like, oh, check out these wacky scenes in the trailer, and it's a drama, but also the stakes aren't super high or enforced regularly. It kind of wants to be both, and it's neither. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
It lays out immediately that they're like in abject poverty.
well,
Um,
Magic, yeah, the show's struggling because kids these days with their Atari, they should have done that with their Atari 2600s. They don't want to play. They don't want to go to Wild West shows. But
but yeah, just they throw out dollar amounts, what they're earning and and how much they have and how much they have left a lot, and it's so low even for a 1980s. Inflation's obviously gone way up lately, but
yeah, it's unsustainable. But at the same time, just sort of keeps going.
right, they
The
never
whole movie,
there's not scenes where they're like, we haven't eaten in 3 days, we're so hungry or anything like that. But
or just even like someone gets a regular job and quits the show or something. My whole point was, if this is movie supposed to be funny, which the trailer implies, the cast of the show is very unfunny. Like you have
well, I
Scatman.
thought
Go ahead.
okay, we'll go ahead on Scatman. I was gonna talk about a different character.
I'm going through all of them eventually, but yeah, I don't have much to say on Scatman. There's an expectation that you like him because he's a likable fellow in real life in his career or whatever. And he did get to talk some, but not a very high energy character. It doesn't really play off of Eastwood, sort of just in the
I
show like
imagine
all the characters.
I imagine this is a version of how Scatman Crothers usually acted because he's wasn't his career like a showman type blues musician or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a stage performer who
The
became an
only
actor.
live action film I think I've seen of him before was The Shining, which is not quite like him, where he's a concerned custodian.
Yeah, I don't, if you're not a major, yeah, Kubrick actors to be weird in a lot of his movies, and uh, so the biggest waste of time in terms of characters. Well, actually, there might be worse ahead, but the pretty bad is the Native Americans. So was the Native American man played by a native
I
actor?
didn't see anything about him in his bio. He did have he was Chinese and Caucasian ancestry. So I don't know. I don't believe.
And they already made a big deal in the movie that his wife is white, but uh, decided to be Native American by marriage, which is a fun discussion to have with your kids in 2026. Uh,
And he didn't ever join WWF, but he had a WWF type life because he was a bodybuilder and then died younger than expected, and he was with recreational drugs in his system.
okay, yeah, nice. Anyway, the male Native American was like a non-factor in the whole movie, pretty much, and then the wife really bothered me because there was no character per se. They not that this would have been better, but they could have at least played up her Native Americanness and connection to
No,
the.
she spells out for some reason, even though Dan Vadas, who plays Chief Big Eagle, is not Native American in real life, he is legitimately a Chief Big Eagle, I guess is a real title. And then she says, Chief Big Eagle's Native American, but I'm not.
I know, but she didn't have a character, so she could have at least been infatuated with Native American culture or rituals or
The
something.
linkage they decided to go for instead, and this encourages Antoinette, Sunderlock's character, to hook up with Clint Eastwood instead, is the outsider becoming an insider type thing. Because I'm not a Native American, but I learned to love the show. And she even says, "I it's too much a direct parallel. Not the best writing, heckin', but because she says when I met Chief Big Eagle, I hated him, but then I learned to love him, and
Well, there's that
that's
line where
exactly what her life mirrors.
Sandra Locke, it's like, man, every time I think about Clint Eastwood, I get so mad. And then she's like, that means you'll love him. It's like whatever she says is just lazily turned into, that sounds like love to me, lady.
She probably Clint Eastwood probably is paying because a Sandra Lock maybe has fault as an actress. I think it's a little unfair, but she's a very pretty woman, so Clint Eastwood paid her so she could sleep. He could sleep with her, and he could join her Wild West show to be the sidekick.
I don't know anything about the off-screen paying for anything, but yeah.
It just works so perfectly to get convince her to be romantically with Clint Eastwood and to join the show by telling everything she tells her as her quote unquote best friend.
Yeah. No, this movie does not portray Clint Eastwood or the character of Bronco Billy in a very good light as a man. But speaking of bad men, it's such a weird character quirk. I didn't even write down anything about Sam Bottoms. I forgot about him. He was fine in this movie. He looks a lot like his brother. Is that what it
They're
is?
related, yes. I told you
Bro-
last.
I knew they were related. I wasn't sure if they're direct brothers or not, but yeah.
There's a third Bottom's brother, Bottom Boys. Um, that I don't recognize it. Don't know any of the films he's in, but all three of them try their hand at acting.
Sam Bottoms is a very good actor in this movie, just in terms of his line reading and stuff. But the character is pretty much like everyone else. Like, I'm in for the show. Let's do it.
Yes, I think he has the most range and the you root for him the most. Um, well, for one, because he literally gets his ass kicked and gets a black eye, so you feel really bad for him. And then he gets locked up for desertion. Um,
That was fucked up. Like, we're talking about Vietnam now too. It's like,
I don't know. There's nothing about like, oh, it's the right thing to do to desert a horrible war. Clint Eastwood says, well, maybe you should have died in the war instead of deserting.
I mean, Clint Eastwood tells his opinion. He's not a liberal man, but yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
That's why you compare it to Buffalo Bill. I never you probably you saw. I think you saw Buffalo Bill.
We'll talk about the comparison a little later on. But yes, I did see
I just
Dalton in the movie. Yes, yes.
they're talking about guilting someone for deserting Vietnam War. This in my head, I'm thinking, was this the conservative response to the Buffalo Bill movie? There's a
I think
little
it's kind of likely. Dennis Second seems like it might be a Republican too, with his stories about cops and wrestlers. Anyway, I want to say because I was going to talk about Symbottoms, but the character with the lamest character arc is that I don't know who the guy is. Middle-aged guy with the deep voice who's like, I don't like Antoinette Lilly because she brought us bad luck.
lefty
And
who could
Clint
who
Eastwood
blew off his
believes
hand in a shotgun accident.
in the movie.
Well, we don't see it on screen, but he's the guy with the hook with a hand. Didn't you see that?
I didn't even notice looking at his hand. I noticed
What?
his charismatic acting.
Jason, you gotta notice things like a character with not two hands.
We should have got. Well, he's probably dead, but that guy from Best Years of Our Lives.
He retired from acting shortly after. It was actually I think it was William Lyler said you're not gonna have a lot of roles after this, and he was right, and he worked some sort of a normal job, and I think lived a normal life, even though he didn't have any hands.
And he's still a better actor than the guy in this movie with the hook hand,
Best Years Alive is a legendary movie with Oscar winners in it. It's
including
not a fair
him. Yeah, yeah,
comparison.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, I mean, okay, I thought it was dumb that this guy. There's this whole thing where, in the universe of the movie, or at least the characters, that bad luck from a woman joining the thing is real, and Clint Eastwood believes him.
Everyone believes him. Yes, he's a yeah. It's That's the quote unquote comedy of the movie is that everyone takes cheap shots at her because
Yeah,
she does she just kind of act like an asshole, but she's going through trauma because her husband left her, and she has no money and no food or anything too. So
she doesn't
she's
want
in
to be
a
in a
tough
stupid.
spot,
She doesn't want to be in a stupid Wild West show either. I mean, Jesus.
and she knows how to shoot plates and stuff, but then
He resents it. He sort of resents it.
won't let her do it, so she feels disrespected.
Yes. But she learns that it's better to be sublimated to a man.
That
Man, to a,
turn we watch so many movies with romantic struggle in it, and then they get together at the end. The turn, it's right after the what you were talking about the best friend saying, "Oh, you're angry at him. That means you love him." She said she with a big smile when Clint Eastwood enters the room at the insane asylum. Missed the introduction to that segue, but
yeah. It's technically an apartment at the insane asylum, which is even crazier. But
she says, "Let's have sex," and then they're
yeah, the way she said it, I thought it was a surreptitious thing, like she was going to steal his wallet or do something sneaky. But nope, she's in it for the long haul now.
she's
Which
not kidnapped, but it felt like Stockholm syndrome.
yes, definitely. Uh, the only other character I want to mention before we move on is Jeffrey Lewis as the jilted husband. It's so odd because he plays the comic relief in the orangutan movies, and he's a funny guy. He just has like good line delivery and his weird face and stuff. And they made him the straight man villainous guy in this movie. And then
There's
I just
no
have
role for a true comedy, no room for a true comedy role in this whole movie.
could have made him funny in that role.
The funniest scene in the whole movie is actually Scatman Crothers, and I actually did laugh. Because remember in the barroom brawl that happens
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Go ahead.
where he says, "I don't. We fight it. We thought we live as a family. We fight as a family. I'm going in," and then he immediately gets punched runs out of frame to fight, and then like jumps back in frame like he took a big punch and says, "I guess I'm not in." Or
Another thing that reminds me of Smoking the Bandit. It's like you can only write jokes that involve people being punched in a bar. And then
yes,
I have a nitpick about there's a lot of nitpicks in this movie, but about Jeffrey Lewis in particular. His thing is so uh he tries to steal everything from Antoinette Lilly and take the money and run and blah blah blah. Antoinette Lilly goes missing as a result of being which is so someone could have found her. She was not hiding, but anyway, she goes missing as a derelict, moneyless person or whatever, and he's charged with her murder. And then the rich guy who works with the stepmother of Antoinette Lilly comes to him. He's like, "I'll give you $500,000 if you tell the police you killed her." And he says, "Yes." What would you do with the $500,000 once you're in prison for life?
It's actually, I think, just it's actually was before probably the shooting of this movie is before the shooting of Reagan, because the whole when John Hinckley shot Reagan, there was a uh, backlash against guilty by reason of insanity, and I think that's what they're playing on here because when he says you're taking 500,000, if you plead guilty by reason of insanity, you'll only be in jail for a few years, and it's a minimum security prison.
Okay, that makes some sense. But yeah, and I mean, we both have some basic knowledge of the law. If you get guilty by reason of insanity, it's technically you don't have a set sentence, but you have to be acknowledged as being safe to go back to society before you're ever let out of jail. Most people never leave the insanity house.
I mean, and the prisons are not set up like it is in the movie where you get to do uh fun-ish things like they were well, I guess they're cleaning a lot and then they were forced to make flags,
There are low
which
security prisons. It could have some version of similar ish, but yeah.
no, but I think you're found guilty of reason of standing for a violent crime, you get full, more or less padded cell type treatment.
Anyway, kids don't agree to murders you didn't commit. Jason's Law. All right, pew, pew, pew. All right. Well, those are the characters. Just a lot of unfunny, mostly white people. Disappointing. Uh, Briefly talk about the dialogue in the movie. I think we kind of covered it. It's a lot of mild scene to scene conversations. It's not funny if it was supposed to be funny. Just most boring dialogue. I don't know, not much to say. I I kind of thought, looking back on it, it kind of reminded me of The Room with the guy who runs the. We have still. We'll talk about that plot later, but the guy who runs the insane asylum, he just keeps telling everyone how great Clint Eastwood is. Kind of reminded me of the Room when Tommy Wiseau goes to the flower shop and the lady's like, "You're my favorite customer." It's like Clint Eastwood does a free show here every year for the Wild show. You guys got to respect Clint Eastwood.
Well, it kind of hints at that problem the whole film with the dialogue that it's Billy's this amazing guy, can't do no wrong, and then Antoinette is the opposite, a stuck-up bitch who can't get along with anyone, who's bad luck for everyone. Just needs to learn to shut up and be his assistant.
Shut up and get my beer, woman. Pretty much. Yeah. All right, let's get into this plot with the structure roulette, which is not a good name for it. The opening image of the movie. I did write this down. There's a very, I wrote very flat time lapse of a circus tent next to a lake and a song about cowboys and clowns. Really points out how exciting this movie is.
But yes, they clearly go through a show at the beginning to show how important the show is to the main cast.
Right. And the Wild West scenes they're not exciting because I'm not like, oh, what's gonna happen with those plates? But it is like something happening. So those are probably my favorite scenes in the movie or the Wild West show.
Well, it's kind of somewhat excited for the rest of the movie after the beginning because it's a by the books Wild West show. Anytime you have that's a type of horse tricks you see when you go, and then you see lasso work like that, and then the racist Indian dances similar to a lot of racist Indian dances.
Sure.
So I thought they're deeper into their lives, and I mean, I guess you follow them around.
But it's not deeper.
It's like a
No,
kind of docudrama of
to
Western
continue the
or
no holds barred metaphor of this podcast, they're living the gimmick. It's like they kind of they kind of feel like the Wild West show's real in a sense, or at least act like those characters in real life. But, yeah.
Including
Uh,
the Native American actually being Native American, which I specifically thought at the beginning of that character, I was like, okay, it's clearly a white guy, so it's going to be about how he learned to act like a Native American, but nope, he grew up in the tribe, and they embarrassing dialogue where they talk about that.
is there a word for that? Like, brown face for Mexicans and black face for African Americans? It
I
probably
think
is.
red face. I think red face is a term. I'm not. Don't quote me on that.
All right, moving on. Just realized interesting that conversation is. Who's the protagonist of the movie? Honestly, I think the only protagonist is Sandra Locke based on screenwriting convention, but Bronco Billy does get obviously the most screen time, so it's kind of both. And
I really wanted to be Bronco Billy because it's Clint Eastwood,
yeah, but I mean, in terms of the progression of the character, Sandra Locke has the clearer XYZ, but we'll get into that.
But Bronco Billy's the one who hangs out with orphans and wins bar fights and
Oh yeah, he threatens to shoot children from behind, and they think it's fun.
yeah,
Not really gonna shoot them, but
he didn't pull out his gun. He used his hand.
so ordinary world of the protagonist. So for Bronco Billy, he's
I already said it. It's
yeah, it's the struggling Wild West show. There you go. Yes. And then he almost murders his latest blonde bimbo. That lady could have been the love story if he didn't throw a knife into her leg or whatever.
I'm not clear. It's not clear. Probably was because she was bad. She was nervous, so I think she moved, which caused the knife to hit her leg.
Yeah, she's bad at being knives thrown at, which is just the most unsympathetic stance to take. And then yeah, he doesn't know what to do with this Wild West. Well, he knows they're just struggling financially. Fine. And then Antoinette Lilly is this break. It's somewhat convoluted. She's this idle rich woman who's 29 years old. If she turns 30 and she's unmarried, she'll have to give up her inheritance. So she marries Jeffrey Lewis out of convenience. The weird part about the Jeffrey Lewis marriage to Antoinette Lilly is he keeps asking her to have sex, and she says no. And the movie kind of makes it seem like it's her problem because she can't go with the flow and have sex with the nice Jeffrey Lewis.
They might have made an arrangement where once we get married, you can do it, but that's not set on screen, so it's unclear. Um,
So yeah, she doesn't love Jeffrey Lewis, but she has to marry him. So obviously she's a person without love in her life. Even her marriage is founded on the fact that she doesn't have love in her life. It's very like hammering on the head, like she needs to fall in love with Clint Eastwood. And then what does the protagonist need to do to improve their life? Like I mentioned, Antoinette Lilly needs to find love. Technically, Bronco Billy also needs to find love, or at least not struggle on just the Wild West show. But he basically does that the whole movie anyway. That's why I kind of think he's not the protagonist. But yeah.
no, for a movie called Bronco Billy, that's definitely a tentative movie of Bronco Billy's. Like you say, there's no arc of change, improvement.
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, yeah. All right, trivia break. Bronco or Billy? In the Broncos Super Bowl win in Super Bowl 33, who was the backup to Falcons quarterback Chris Chandler? An innovator of the play action pass, this career backup mentored and briefly started ahead of Joe Montana, John Elway, and Steve Young.
Steve DeBerg was the backup on that 98 Falcons team.
Yes, he came out of retirement specifically to back up on the Falcons. Because I guess Dan Reeves just knew he could count on him. Yeah. Bill Murray is a Billy. Hold for applause.
I mean, use your friends like that. You can call him Billy.
Hey, Billy. Ghostbusters 2 was shit. His
Cubs,
first
Cubs
Bill
won't win
Murray,
again. Billy.
his Bill Murray's first movie was an appearance in a 1976 Paul Mazursky comedy drama called Next Stop Blank, with the blank being a neighborhood in Manhattan. Fill in the blank.
I've probably seen this before, like in a listing of movies or something. Because I know somewhat Paul Mazursky's filmography. Next stop, Soho. I don't know.
You're definitely on the right track. It's Greenwich Village. That was a harder one. Yeah. What event changes to suck the characters into the story? The protagonists sort of merge here. Jeffrey Lewis runs away from Sandra Locke and steals her money, and Sandra Locke meets Bronco Billy while trying to get a dime for the phone booth at the gas station, and he sees that she's blonde and attractive and wants to make her the next fetish object in the Wild West show. That's my editorializing, but it seemed like he just kept fucking his assistants. That's what it seemed like to me, but I don't know.
It's unclear if he sleeps with the one in the beginning. But yeah, you could argue it's kind of pimp-like that he takes advantage of a woman he just sees at a gas station and he's like, "I'll give you a dime if you work for me."
Oh no, it's terrible because he doesn't like lay it out all out like you're gonna join a Wild West show and this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. He's like, you gotta come with me if you wanna get help. By the way, put on this cowboy hat and throw the plates in the air. It's very coercive.
Well, and then
Call a cop,
cowboy hat, but then hot pants and uh,
halter top or whatever. It's not it's not the most sexy thing, but it's not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she's beautiful assistant. Just relax, Jason. Relax. Take deep breaths. You can talk about women.
I can't do it. I only breathe shallowly. What's the fun and games of this movie? This is one of the worst fun and games because I guess it's the Wild West show segments because you got the plates and the snakes and the knives going into the spinning wheel and stuff. I guess it's also what are cowboys like in the modern world, like with the train robbery. Both things are not as fun as they sound on paper in the movie. Yeah.
No. Surprised this movie cost 6.5 million because yeah, the train robbery is just a train driving by, which I guess is kind of funny in a way. It wasn't really that funny in this movie, but
It was like it was what's the word? It was ironic and set up like a joke, but it didn't end in anything. They tried to rob the train and didn't work, and that's it. Yeah,
the barroom ball is really
yeah.
tidy.
That is.
Although for a comedy, and then related to the barroom brawl is two guys try to rape Sandra Locke. That's always fun.
He's like, "Can I buy you a drink?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "I'll think my
Hold
friend."
on a minute, you can't leave. I'm gonna make out with you in the truck while my friend watches. It's
It was even
just
worse in the movie because the guy the rapist's friend says, "My friend said he wanted to buy you a drink. You better do it." So it's like this is very uncomfortable.
they both made intimations they wanted to rape her, but then one of them starts kiss making her. It's like, okay, you get to rape her, then I get a turn. Was kind of what they kind of implied. I
Yep,
think
that's
like Clint Eastwood came to the rescue before it went too far, but then yeah, but then just with that, it's just Clint Eastwood comes out and saves her. Yay, good for Clint. Definitely should save people in that situation if you can. But just hurls insults at her immediately. She was about to be raped. Don't you have some sensitivity?
yeah. This movie's not good at subtlety, which is it's like it wants to do weird. It wants to do unique things, but then it just ends in generic brusqueness by Clint Eastwood. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's kind of Clint Eastwood's career for a long time was like that. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. So what obstacle comes along to ruin the protagonist's joy? This actually comes a little later in the movie than I would like as a screenwriter, technician, or whatever. But because we'll talk about now. A lot. There's not much to talk about. So because things have to happen in this movie. There's a fire during the Wild West show, and their tent burns down. Not my tent.
By the way, the fire is started because the kid is just like, look, I got a firecracker. And then there's all it's all straw on the underneath them.
Yeah. look what look what I can do. Anyway, yeah, the tent burns down, and I don't know how Clint Eastwood came up with this plan. He's like, I know this doctor. He runs a loony bin for the federal government for people who go to jail or whatever, I guess. And I'm gonna go there and ask the knitting group at the loony bin to make me a circus tent, and then it just goes fine. That's an idea.
The Wild West show is so good that he goes to the orphanage and the loony bin on a regular basis, and they do him favors for lifting the spirits of people in bad situations.
Bronco Billy for president. That's what I say. So anyway, while they're there to get the tent made, this for all of its dumb simplicity, this movie gets really intricate in dumb ways. Like they make a point that the doctor gives all of the characters in the Wild West show unique apartments in the outlier of the loony bin. I don't know why we need to know that. I guess just to explain why they're not in padded cells. But anyway, while they're there, Jeffrey Lewis is there because, as we mentioned, he took the hit for the murder and pleaded insanity, and he sees that Sandra Locke is alive, which is should have been a bigger immediate deal, but I guess it becomes one pretty soon anyway. But anyway,
Yeah.
uh, she tells the doctor. Actually, yeah, it was weird. He did it in a roundabout way. Like I guess he wanted her to confess first before he told anyone. But anyway, after a couple scenes, the
Well,
doctor finds.
because
Go
Doctor
ahead.
doesn't believe him at all.
That was weird too. Like he didn't check into it at all. I mean, I guess he is a loony bin patient, I guess, but yeah. So the doctor finds out that it's true. So he calls the cops, and the cops are like, "This is so dumb." Like they're like, because they make a point of not arresting anyone, but they are kind of arresting everyone because it's like y'all got to come back to New York City to talk with the FBI about this whole woman. What's the word? The woman is listed as murdered and she's not. So you have to go to New York to talk to the FBI. And Clint Eastwood, instead of being like, okay, I'm a law abiding Clint Eastwood, I'll talk to the FBI. He's like, I can't go back to the East Coast. Remember, I'm a shoe salesman from New Jersey, and he just leaves. Which I mean, I guess it's somewhat realistic. You could escape immediate arrest or whatever, or is it arrest? That's the thing.
Why would Clint Eastwood be arrested?
Well, they're all supposed to go to New York for the FBI inquiry into Sandra Locke not being dead.
Maybe they were asked to? Because I don't remember
Yeah,
them being arrested.
no, it was weird that they were asked. Like, why wouldn't the FBI be there in what is this, Texas or something, and just inquire there? Why do they have to journey to New York to talk to the FBI? It's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Marcus. They have branches in every state in the union.
I don't know.
Anyway, my point is Clint Eastwood will not refuses to go to the New York for the FBI, so he panics and everyone in the Wild West show leaves. Sandra Locke stays behind or adjacent, or I don't know where she
No,
is.
she goes back to New York.
Okay, she goes back to New York. Okay,
The lawyer guy and goes back takes her back to live with her stepmom.
I don't even remember that part. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So they're split now. That's the Dark Night of the Soul. Is oh no, these lovers are separated, and Clint Eastwood is trying to. Well, he's contemplating how to basically not do this slash go to jail or whatever was going on. They're like, oh, can we leave the country? Can we hide? And they're like, no. we just got to put on one last Wild West show, which is fine. And then Sandra Locke takes it real hard, harder than I would recommend. She sings Barroom Buddies, which is the most important part to any suicide ritual, and then takes a bunch of pills to kill herself, and then which leads directly to the motivating action to fix everything, quote unquote. Mrs. Running Water calls Lily on the phone and is like, Clint Eastwood really needs you. And
Because
she's
he's
like,
trying to kill himself via alcohol, I suppose.
yes. It
Very
just
depressed.
it's kind of weird that she would have gone so far as to kill herself without thinking, hey, I could just go back to Texas or whatever and be with Clint Eastwood. But
It's
the
not
phone,
clear where they are because I believe they're in Idaho when they get married, and then I was married is phony, but because he says, "Why did we get married in Idaho?" But they don't keep track of where they are geographically, so it's a mess to
yeah,
guess where they are when things happen.
call Bronco Billy Land. Okay, yeah. So the phone call, despite the fact she could have figured this on her own, the phone call convinces her that she can go back to support him. And that's the weird thing about this movie is that the movie just almost ends there. There is the one last scene, which I'll briefly talk about, which I guess is the climax. They're gonna have their big Wild West show, big crowd before the FBI does something afterwards. I don't know, whatever.
Just leave that guy out of it. It's just who knows what happened with them. It's unclear.
I mean, I left it out of it, but it's weird that she almost killed herself over it or something. I don't
By the
know.
way, when tries to kill herself, when the phone rings, she spits out the pills like it's a comedy gag.
Yep.
What a depressing comedy gag! Spit out pills. But I guess
It's better than swallowing
gives the
them.
audience a sense of relief that she didn't swallow them.
I
She
guess.
spits out 50 billion pills.
I guess. Uh so yeah, so she shows up at the Wild West show, ready to go, and the movie just sort of like it ends there. Basically, they cut to the outside. Oh, the big gag of the movie. This is the funny part is that because the only thing they knit in the loony bin is American flags. So when they knit a tent, it's made of a bunch of American flags stitched together. Horny,
It's a
horny.
horrible Stars and Stripes Forever type song. I don't know what you call it. It's so grating, and it's all over the trailer too. It's a
Yeah, it's like
earworm
a
in a bad way.
circus Americana song. I don't know what that's called. Dun, 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 dun. It's like kind of like Stars and Stripes Forever. Yeah, like you said. Yeah.
Ruined
Uh,
my potential. I didn't like the music much before, but that made it so much worse. It's not Snuff Garrett. That's enough out of you.
yeah. So how did the protagonist world change from the beginning to the end? Uh, well, Bronco Billy didn't really change anything. I mean, I guess he has his girlfriend now. Although who knows how long
Permanent
they'll be
slash permanent
together.
assistant, which is the most important thing for him, probably.
What?
Slash permanent assistant, which is probably the most important thing for
Yeah,
him.
I was gonna say it's like they have such a turbulent relationship. I know it's a rom com thing to like go up and down, but my prognosis might be long term for them. But the big change is Antoinette Lily. I think movie's weird. Like she had that big change to fall in love with Bronco Billy, and then she's despondent and away from him and suicidal, and now she's back. I guess it's supposed to play into a sort of like realism or overcoming, uh, you know,
No,
something in her
if
life.
they if through screenwriting or acting or whatever, you could sense a true spark between them. You would want them to get together and that'd be a successful ending, but you just don't get that in this movie. It's like, why is she so madly in love with him now? Again, because I think it's the alternative is just so bad that she has a stepmother that wishes she was dead.
Uh,
It's just it worked. If the romance worked better, the ending would have been successful. Because okay, they're together and they're doing what the male lead wants to do, and she's supporting that. But
or they could have done like the indie 70s movie version where she's not happy with Clint Eastwood but she's just doing this because it's better than living on the streets or being alone, and she's sad while smiling. Like an ironic ending. But this movie's not clever enough for that. So
No, the way they shoot the end and the way she's smiling at the end, she's quote unquote going to be happily ever after with this, which doesn't
yeah,
really add up with the rest of the events in the plot, but and her
no.
previous dialogue and actions, etc.
So we already covered the closing image, just the tent, but American flags now, which actually is kind of clever in spite of itself because it's like Bronco Billy is America. I don't know. I mean, that's not a clever thing, but it is something that movie's going for. You know.
It's in a way, it's like the fire and everything was a good thing because now they're Uber America.
Yeah, it does seem like a very convenient thing when you're asking crazy people to fix your tent. Yeah, and then the opening image does match the closing image. It's not clever, but it's like we see the ratty tent next to a dirty river,
It's all about the show.
and now we get the American tent. So there is a beginning and an end to the images.
It's all about the show. I don't think I don't know how much the audience cares about the show, but obviously the filmmakers did.
Yeah. I don't have enough time to go through a trivia break. Okay. Bronco or Billy? What Broncos kicker who left the team in 2007 won two Super Bowls in Denver and tied the NFL record with a 63-yard field goal?
Since broken, but uh, Jason Elon.
It's weird. Wikipedia didn't even correct that stat on their description of the kick, but whatever.
What was the time it was?
Yeah. And then what Billy Joel standard, which could alternatively be called Force Divided by Area, was released on his 1982 album, The Nylon Curtain?
Science term and Billy Joel song.
Yep. It's one of those measurable things in physics.
Force divided by area would be something times area would equal force. Velocity?
Pressure. All your life is channel 13. I watch it too. What does it mean? All right.
It's a good physics clue there. Pressure times area equals force. That
Yep.
makes sense.
I almost wrote a learned league question. Okay, can you say the word? All right. Uh yeah, real quick. The structure, I don't know. Sometimes I thought the structure was good. The movie sucks, but the structure was okay because you have like
Yeah,
Antoinette Lily's like a douche and then becomes a compliant lover. But also the Bronco Billy stuff takes up so much screen time and it nenever changes.
the
So
tone's
that part,
weird. Tone's weird because it tries to be funny and it's not. But I think it's a solid plot structure to have you're trying to be a traveling musician, traveling show or whatever, and then challenges present themselves type of deal.
yeah.
Like a better movie, like it's kind of Blues Brothers ish. Blues Brothers is much more funny and entertaining, but I think it's a big compliment to say it's similar to Blues Brothers in structure in some
I
ways.
mean, Blues Brothers is a goal between two characters who aren't going to change their relationship. But yeah, there's a rom com Blues Brothers. But yeah, yeah.
But they're a traveling band, like a traveling road show, and they run into obstacles. It's
All right.
I didn't say it was a perfect match. I want to turn like how they're different. This isn't a
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. It was fair. And they're released at like the exact same time too. But all right. I don't hear about pacing. Not much to talk about. It's very 70s in its pacing. A lot slower than it should be in the cuts and stuff like that. Just bad.
it was decent, I guess. It didn't feel too long necessarily. By the time I get to Insane Asylum, which is really kind of when the movie starts wrapping up, it doesn't feel like it's taken forever to get there.
Yeah.
Um,
Not that I want more. I would want more movie of this movie in particular. God, but yeah, meteor plot stuff, especially because it's not that funny. But yeah, it did not have much. It was very thin. Tone, visually, I feel like we watched a lot of movies like this. I'll give Eastwood credit. Obviously, he's a lot better visual tightness compared to something like Coast to Coast, which is kind of similar in its use of desert landscapes and
no, yeah, the cinematography is much better. Something like that. David Worth, who didn't do a lot of major cinematography work, um, he did do Any Which Way You Can. So I'll get to my review how much this is just trying to ride the coattails of that. But it there was a shot at the end where it's below Clint Eastwood and it's moving up that I thought was nice. I think Clint Eastwood, he's never the best director in terms of like visual, like what you see and stuff compared to like the Kubricks and the David Lynch's, who are like the elite and that type of stuff. I'm missing other names. I'm not trying to be exhaustive here, but it's solid, the visuals, because
or what's his name? That Days of Heaven guy. He's all visuals.
Malik
Yeah,
maybe a little too much of visually
yeah, but like
stimulating.
it's more of his movies are cool visuals than plot. But yes, yeah, it was a genre visual. I call it a southern adventure movie. Lots of dull brown dirt. Feels like realism. I don't know.
Yeah, whoever was the set designer for this, in their defense, they didn't give a lot to work with because there's the tent is like a character in itself,
Which
and
makes
then they kind of had to. They wanted to make a bleak north. It's like Northwest, I think is where the movie's mainly set because the wedding's in Idaho. Um, so it's around that area. So it's the settings are kind of bleak, to be honest.
yeah, it's flat. That's middle America. It's very flat.
They want to
Anyway,
make sure that he's with the average people
yeah.
because they could juxtapose those scenes with the scenes with the rich lawyer and the stepmom. So it's two different worlds going on.
New York City.
The best salsa's there.
Gotta spit my Mountain Dew, dirty Mountain Dew. Anyway,
Good spit take. You should get hired for spit takes. And
yeah, that's why I don't have a job. All right, tonally, like in terms of the emotional tone or whatever. I mean, we talked about this a lot, but it felt like a macho Clint Eastwood movie with a rom com gently put in that was not very attractive as a rom com. I don't think women should watch this movie or men, but this is the rom coms are usually a little easier to watch for ladies. I would feel like, but I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of sexist to me, but it's an overarching review. More. Okay, anyway. Uh, so let's talk about the originality of this movie. Uh, Before I just go discuss the movie, I think it actually literally made it unoriginal because it stole from it. I just felt like the whole Wild West show as a thing, even as a nostalgia thing, it just I don't know, it didn't ring as vitally original. I don't know how to describe it. It just felt like younger people would not be able to identify with this movie. But,
no, the, this is one of the movies where the appeal is similar now to what would have been in 1980. Because to watch Clint Eastwood play a version of himself, there's people back then and now who'd be interested in a Clint Eastwood movie thon. Uh, and and the Clint Eastwood comedy run is very short, but it was hugely successful. Saw that Any Which Way, what's the first one? Every Which Way.
any which way you can, and then every which no, the first one's something loose, and then the second one's any which way you can. they're so confusing because it's not obviously it's not a plot point in the movie with the weird catchphrasing of the title.
But anyways, I believe the first one had like a $99 million profit. You're just marketing that's not factored into.
Yeah, and we're talking about how these movies aren't this movie's not funny. That movie was funny. It's a good movie. It's not great, but it's like I think it's better than Cannonball Run. But anyway, so where we're going with this. This is I guess this is a sort of an adjunct to the orangutan action movies.
Oh, I'm just saying it'll appeal to people who like Clint Eastwood's oeuvre. Honestly, for this being his comedy run, it's very similar to how his characters act in his westerns. Not so much Dirty Harry, um, but his westerns. There's some Dirty Harry too, but the westerns where he's a badass in a world that doesn't respect him.
Yeah,
That's the appeal. You like that or you don't, this is. But then people who'd watch it for that would be disappointed because it's not as good at those things as
yeah.
because the good, the bad, and the ugly, or Unforgiven, or
Dennis Hacken was like, it felt like there's a lot of like second draft corrections or something where it's like, oh, Clint Eastwood's this tough guy running the show. Oh, but he needs to like have a romance. That's weird. This is a weird movie. Anyway, here's my brief treatise on how this is a direct ripoff of either 1976's Buffalo Bill and the Indians or the Buffalo Bill story in general. Because Buffalo Bill and the Indians is set like in the real Buffalo Bill times, like the late 19th century, but they're both about a struggling Wild West show declining against different aspects of modernization. And Paul Newman's character is a little nicer than Bronco Billy, but Buffalo Bill's basically a tough guy misogynist. And uh, Buffalo Bill doesn't have a relationship with Annie Oakley, but he does coerce her into joining the show, and that's the main arc of the movie. So I think this is probably, to put it most politely, a sort of modernization of the Buffalo Bill story biography, more than a ripoff of the Altman movie,
mhm.
which is still not great. But if you're into that, you're gonna watch this at some point in your life, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about marketability. We'll talk about what quote unquote sold this movie at the time, but I just want to briefly mention: don't watch this. I would never recommend this movie to anyone. I feel like 2026 woke audiences would really not like what happens to Antoinette Lilly and stuff. I mean, it's very obvious. Um, yeah, I mean, and if you like, I know you're saying, and I know you're kind of stretching to fit the question and stuff, but if you like Clint Eastwood movies, it's like there's so much depth and just basic consistency to like Unforgiven, and then you try to watch this movie, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, he really matured as a director, I would say.
Definitely
Um,
liberalized is what it felt like. I mean, obviously not wholly like personally or anything, but a little more empathetic to his characters, especially women.
and I have to research it before talk about this, but probably got more better professional help, and the technology probably got better too by the time like Unforgiven.
Oh yeah, with these fancy digital cameras, he can just sit back and be like, "Go ahead," and then he doesn't give directions anymore. That's what I hear, but yeah, and it's good movies too. Um, so let's talk about the but. I just want to, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I put it in this section, but this movie fails the Bechdel test. The first movie I ever watched where I thought about that because there's only two women who talk to each other in the whole movie, and they talk about Bronco Billy constantly. So this movie's not good for that.
1980 in film, and definitely not these Razzie films. Not very good at, absolutely horrible at the Bechdel test.
Yeah,
Closest thing is Windows because there's a lesbian thing and they talk about each other. So maybe that one actually might pass.
and they talk about well, the crime is about a man raping. So yeah, Windows is a good movie. So there you go. In my opinion. So yeah, like you were saying, this is like a continuation of the orangutan movies. It's just like get the same audiences in, expect the same thing. I think even if he didn't rip off Bronco Billy and the Indians, I do think Dennis Hacken definitely watched like Nashville and other Robert Alton movies and was like, "Ooh, ensemble cast who does a thing." It's like it's a very art. Despite it not being an art movie, it has a very artsy idea of like what following these people doing the circus show as its own thing. Like it has a certain dramatic panache to it. But
Yeah, and talking about Hackens writing it's based on his own book, you say, right?
yes, he wrote the novel first.
Uh, the way he fleshed out the characters is like a novelization adaptation, I would say. Um,
Could use more flesh. Mm-mm-mm.
yeah, I mean, any film adaptation has to speed up the. There might have been more about maybe more description about how Lefty blew off his hand in a shotgun accident, which they allude to in the dialogue, but I don't
Or
know.
Sam
Looks like
Bottom's motivation for deserting, whatever, stuff like that. But and then yeah, okay, we've covered the marketing. I just Cannonball Run was around the same time too. It's got some of that charm of like character actors and road adventures, I guess. Anyway, trivia break. Bronco or Billy? Who was the defensive coordinator for the 2015 Denver Broncos that won Super Bowl 50 with Peyton Manning? He was briefly Broncos head coach in the 90s.
dang it. Wade Phillips?
Yes. I assume he filled in when Reeves got fired or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe just got the job for a year. I don't know. Just a year, I think. Anyway, uh, what's the name of the New Mexico sheriff best known for killing Billy the Kid after previously arresting Billy for murder, and then Billy escaped the first time? Like a hard question about that. Anyway, the law is too tight in your tail, Billy.
I haven't seen the movie yet. Definitely want to. It's helps. I believe it's Pat Garrett and from Pat Garrett and Billy and the Kid.
Yeah, with Bob Dylan as other character, not Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid. Probably good. All right, let's talk about the
Possibly.
Raz.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the movie nominations. Uh, there's no big time nominations I could find. Just the Razzie nomination, just the one. Sandra Locke nominated for worst actress. Lost this Brooke Shields for the Blue Lagoon.
Definitely shouldn't have won over that.
No, that Blue Lagoon is see our episode on it. It's a psychosexual train wreck that ruined America. But
You say that, and it made tens of millions of dollars at the box office,
I
profit.
know. But yeah. Well, obviously, I don't think Sandra Locke was worse than that, and I don't even think she's a bad actress. She was much better in the orangutan movies, but she was really let down by the direction and the screenplay in this movie. It's not a good character or performance. Yeah.
That's what I think. It's like double abuse because her character is abused physically and verbally, kind of for no reason in the film, and then the screenwriter abused her how he set her up, and
Yeah.
then the Razzies punished her probably for being whiny, but she had reason to be whiny because She went through a trauma. She's gonna lose her money. She had
Yeah,
an attempted sexual assault on her.
I do think
She's
there's
not in a
that.
good place mentally. So you talk like you're stressed in those situations. So it makes sense. But then I don't get the nomination at all. It was bad character. So it's
Well, I think the real reason is that she's dating or not, or alleged to Clint Eastwood, so it's like a nepo hire. I feel like the founder of the Razzies, which makes sense. He wants to get publicity for his brand new award show, just targets the salacious aspect of the story.
yeah. Even now with the Razzies, when it's an established brand, I suppose you have to pick people that people heard of, or there's no point.
Yeah,
Because you can't pick some indie short film that no one's ever going to see for the Razzies. Because like, okay, who cares?
yeah. I wonder. Well, you have to find some independent measuring stick about the most obscure movie we've covered on the Razzies. I can't think of anything particularly obscure.
No, I think they all got major release of some point of some kind.
Yeah,
Uh,
Windows disappeared pretty bad, but at the time it was probably highfalutin. Anyway, go ahead and briefly review the movie and give your score, and also the pantheon of Razzies.
so wait till my review. I should have looked up because I texted to you on WhatsApp before, after we watched it. But I think it was around 8 people, actors in this movie who had acted in with Clint Eastwood in other things, be it the monkey movies or when Clint Eastwood started directing with his westerns. Um,
Do you want me to read the list, or you just want to just
no,
about it?
because his character didn't talk like the sheriff and the ward of the insane asylum that are part of that. By the way, sheriff is his Seymour. He threatens to kill him was out of left field.
Yeah, and they really milked that in the trailer too, like they were gonna have a big shootout or something.
Anyways, I just want to make a quick reference to the because it's like I don't want to say cashing in, but it is kind of cashing in because let's keep the comedy train going from the monkey movies. And there are these people I work with, so it's going to be a slam dunk, which makes the film lazier than it should have been. I think it's derivative of other travel movie. The 70s there was a big decade from like early 70s too of travel movies, and this falls into that. Or Clint Eastwood just plays a version of himself, but more family friendly, I suppose. It ends up being bland and forgettable. I don't know. I should write down my reviews because movies I think are worse. I give maybe a higher score, but I'll say 4. I think it's decently shot, and I was entertained to a certain extent by several things that happen. I like Scatman Crothers, for instance, but it's on the negative scale side of Razzies. But feel like it's too good to be really compared to Blue Lagoon, which is definitely the worst. It's somewhere a few notches above that if I ranked all the ones we've seen so far. I mean, it's probably better than Coast to Coast, for instance, too. But
Yeah,
other than Blue Lagoon, it's still in the bottom, but it's closer to the bottom than it is the top.
sure. So yeah, my review's pretty similar to yours. If this is a comedy, it's way too self-serious and grumpy. If it's supposed to be some sort of slice of life drama, way too obsessed with changing scenery and those ineffective set pieces. Felt very comedic in that way. And the male female interaction between the leads, which is weird because they're dating in real life, I guess, is very misogynistic, male dominated. Made it tough for me to watch, and I couldn't really think of it as a rom com as a result. Uh, Wild West is a fun setting, but they don't do anything with it. Uh, Kind of felt like Man Cave the movie. where one man's hobby is treated like the biggest deal in the world. Yeah, all the scenes were corny and uninteresting. Uh, just lacked nuance. Felt like other movies, and like there's literally barroom scenes in both of the orangutan movies. So it's like just so much copying of copying, and no wonder Clint Eastwood stopped doing comedy. Sim- Dennis be hacking, but similar to you, a little harsher. 3 out of 10 with credit to basic visual composition and directing. And the Pantheon, yeah, Clint Eastwood directing definitely elevates it. I think it's like basically above Coast to Coast. Those movies are very similar to me. They're both allegedly anti-urban adventure movies. Coast to Coast is just uncomfortable garbage mess. Robert Blake should be in the flag knitting loony bin, but yeah, it's yeah that whatever ranking I have for Coast to Coast, it's just above that. Yeah, it's bad. All right, trivia break. Bronco or Billy? Who was the leading rusher for the 2025 Denver Broncos? His first name is the same as the actor who got his start on Oz and is probably best known as J. Jonah Jameson or that guy from Whiplash.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, that makes it easier when you know clear the actor. So it's J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I was gonna make some dumb joke about Dobby the house elf, but you don't watch Harry Potter, so. And then last trivia question: Billy Mummy was in the Twilight Zone episode "It's a Good Life." In the Simpsons parody "The Bart Zone," where Bart controls all of Springfield with his mind, what causes him to wake up screaming from his dream?
Homer kisses him and says, I love you.
Yeah, kiss him goodnight. I think, but you basically, yeah, you got it right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, before we go, time to guess the next movie we're watching.
Okay.
It's another one of those where it's not obvious, so you need the second clue. But first clue: it's an inspirational drama co-starring Diane Lane with music by John Barry. The movie has Elvis Presley as a secondary character, kind of, not really.
Blue suede shoes.
Second clue: if Eros put his hand on Elvis Presley could say afterward he was 3 words. Fill in the blank.
Cupid. Cupid love you. I don't.
You're on the right track. The hand is touched, so touched by love. Not
Hmm.
available on any streaming service, so Google it with an open heart. I did find it on YouTube, which I will share with Marcus after the recording. So next week we're gonna watch a dramatic film. So you'll be touched by love next week when Twin Bell hits YouTube and Apple Podcasts. YouTube at Jason Luna. Apple Podcast search Twin Bell. Book me on your shows, or let's be best friends and hang out. Maybe, I don't know.